Hey, welcome to Bruce's Nutrition and Wellness Tips. I'm doing a special immune boosting discussion in light of all of the recent last 6 weeks anyway. We're up to about 6 weeks here. It's towards the end of April. So I just wanted to present to you some things that I'm using to thrive in these times of uncertainty and to reassure you, especially all of you as clients of mine who are doing a lot of great things to improve their health over the years, to show you that there's a lot of the things that you've been doing are really part of the immune boosting piece of the puzzle. And, currently we're in a state where we've gone through the initial panic phase and hysteria phase, I call it, usually for the first 2 to 4 weeks, which is normal and needed. The social distancing, the washing the hands, just being more mindful of your daily practices is something that obviously is needed. And for societies to get their bearings to see how much they're being affected by the coronavirus, the CoV-2. And so just for you to realize that, there's different stages, there's things that you can do to keep your mood up, for you to stay hydrated, to feel nourished. And some of the things that we'll discuss today will reinforce some of those positive behaviors you're doing in order to keep your immune system nice and strong, because it is your immune system that actually is the defender. It is not one specific drug. It's not one specific vaccine. It's not one specific habit. Everything goes together. And ultimately, it is your immune system that is marvelous, that has been defending you from millions, if not billions or trillions of viruses and bacteria that your body encounters on a daily basis and has kept you alive for your life. And people do get different types of staph and strep and herpes viruses and different coronaviruses and influenza. This is around us all the time. And we were designed to get stuff for our body to remember it and create antibodies, and for our bodies to fight this off to best of our ability. So people that are not as healthy, they call it comorbidity, where you see the deaths that are being, the numbers, I mean, and deaths sell on the news, and it's not to belittle deaths. It's very serious. If you step back and look at the numbers of those who are passing, and there are outliers, people that are young, middle age, by and large, I believe it's 75%, the latest stats, and over, are people that are 70 years and over with comorbidity, meaning they have diabetes, heart disease, COPD. There are existing conditions, and they are passing away with COVID-19. That's the disease form. Once the coronavirus has um, come into their system. So you're not seeing basically a super healthy 20-year-old athlete crashing in 24 hours because of a coronavirus infection. The news has to sell a little bit more hysteria, panic numbers. It's what it does. And in some ways, it serves people to get them to take things seriously in order to enforce the social distancing, the hand washing, etc. That's why you see this all the time on the news. Yet you also want to have a perspective on how your immune system works and how things that you do mentally and physically can make your body handle any type of infection. And if you were to get it, you would lessen it within days to a week and just recover. That's why you see now, after a couple months, especially in North America, so many more people recovering from the disease. Many haven't even noticed they've had it, and others that have, they basically have recovered, and it was only a mild case for them. So that's what you want to be empowered with, is your mindset, your physical habits are all contributing to you overcoming the any potential of getting this condition. And one of the things that I'm always asked about, and oftentimes you see in, avoided in many discussions, especially in the panic phase of any condition, which is understandable. And now we're not in the panic phase. People are forgetting that there are numerous studies on various nutrients that are out there from foods and also isolated in supplement form that are being used and have been used in order to make your body more bulletproof. And it drives me nuts when you hear people say, well, there's no studies on this, anything natural, no studies. So I wanted to present just a couple things that I've done, spent, a number of hours going through PubMed, Medline, and finding proof of studies, just so you can see that there are many amazing scientists out there over the years that have done studies on these essential nutrients that are needed in order to help your immune system get much stronger. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go through a couple things, a little PowerPoint presentation, and I'm not going to go over every slide in detail. It's really not here to bore you with so much science. And I was quite shocked, actually, maybe half embarrassed, that I didn't realize like how much is out there. And when you dig in for hours and hours and hours looking at the different nutrients and the science that's out there, it's irrefutable. And so when somebody says there's no scientific proof on or any studies done to show specific nutrients are helpful, really that person is just ignorant and hasn't made the time to have a look at all the journals worldwide that have discovered some really amazing plant biochemicals, medicinal mushroom extracts, which I'm going to talk to, and some isolated items like vitamin D and so forth. So let's just go through a little bit of the presentation. So the Journal of Infectious Disease, host nutritional status and its effect on viral pathogen. So basically, the nutritional status of a host has long been associated with both severity and susceptibility to infectious disease. Translation, you basically, the healthier you are, the less susceptible you are to disease. The role of nutrition in viral disease, from the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry. The same thing, malnutrition has been associated with a decrease in immune function. So the more you eat high quality food, the more hydrated you stay, you're bringing in all these excellent nutrients into your body can push back against any pathogen. I mean, that's really the fundamentals of what you're doing when you're coming to see someone like myself to improve your nutritional program, to create a custom plan, is to get all these micronutrients into the system. Micronutrients and the immune system working in harmony to reduce infection. These are all big things. Vitamin C, we'll start right there. You're seeing a lot of information out there on vitamin C in terms of being able to support the immune function. So there's different things that are going on. And we want to make sure that when you're talking about preventative health and your day-to-day eating high quality food, taking some vitamin and mineral supplements to fill in some gaps that you perhaps need, it's different than doing intravenous vitamin C in a hospital setting, in the ICU setting. And so people are confused. Sometimes they hear vitamin C is really beneficial, and doctors are using it for coronavirus. And I'll show you, there's a study where they are doing this in China very successfully. And I've also seen some videos of some physicians in different states currently in the US where they're incorporating intravenous vitamin C with different medications like hydroxychloroquine and some vitamin D. So that's all done in a clinical setting under the guise of a physician who understands the emergency situation. So it's something different than just taking some extra vitamin C per day, which is beneficial, or eating some oranges. You can see sweet peppers. People don't realize that peppers are actually really jam-packed full of whole food vitamin C. And the whole food vitamin C, that's why you want to start with foods. When you think chili peppers, some people might not want to have those, but other people like hot food. Rose hips, this is very common. This is what they use in whole food vitamin C and supplements as well. rose hips tea, parsley, sun-dried tomatoes, even kale. There are a lot of great foods out there that contain whole food vitamin C. Sauerkraut, which is really high in vitamin C, coming from cabbage. You also get the bonus of probiotics. So when you're getting ascorbic acid, that's what people call vitamin C. It's actually not truly vitamin C. Ascorbic acid is one part of vitamin C, and that's what is used in supplement form, and it's also used in the injectable form, and it's very, very potent antioxidant. It's something that's used successfully. So just to distinguish, and there's different times and settings, and there's different reasons for when you would need certain doses. So the more, if you were really sick, you can increase the dose because your body needs more to fight off the virus and the damage that the virus is causing in your body. As a preventative measure, you're using high quality foods with just a small amount of vitamin C in a supplement form. And you can use, I'll just reach over here, you can use something like this, and that also contains the bioflavonoids. And the bioflavonoids are what goes with vitamin C in nature: lutein, hesperidin, quercetin, rutin. These are all different types of bioflavonoids that helps the body to absorb vitamin C. And so vitamin C is important to protect against, pollutants, regenerates antioxidants in the body. So it's really something that's really essential in order to keep the body strong. And so here we can see a study talking about vitamin C as an essential antiviral immune response against influenza, although COVID-19 or coronavirus, CoV-2, is not influenza. All viruses elicit the same response in the body. There's a slight variation, and there's a slight degree of um, pathogenicity, so how virulent it is. Yet a lot of these sound nutrients are used in order to get the body to regenerate accordingly. We're looking here, immune enhancing role of vitamin C and zinc. Zinc I'll get to in a second. There's lots of these clinical studies, right? Vitamin C supplementation and respiratory infections, just taking a look at it to know that there is an effect. So many of these studies have been going on, and you have to think that this stuff's going on around the world, yet there's not even massive amounts of funding for this. So the fact that there is a good number of studies and not a ton, still shows you if there was a lot of funding, you'd see thousands more studies if there was some even more money to be made off of these results. Here's something that came out in March when they're talking about some Chinese physician using successfully vitamin C injectables. That has to be done by a licensed physician. Just to highlight, you can see IV dosing here in the range of 10,000 to 20,000 milligrams. You wouldn't take that orally. You'd have lots of diarrhea for 7 days, 7 to 10 days. And you can say patients who received IV improved and there was no mortality, right? Those patients who received high dose IV vitamin C in a hospital, their stay was about 3 to 5 days shorter than patients who didn't, which was a 30-day. So really, and that's what our goal is, to make sure that you don't want to overwhelm the hospital system and those that are there, to get them healthy and get them home as soon as possible. And that's my belief. You want to take care of your health, take as many nutrients as possible, take the burden off the system. And that's by being self-responsible and always being healthy. Then you're not going to be in the queue to overwhelm the system. Leave it for the people who really do need the help. The seniors, people with comorbidity, they need to not overwhelm the ICU doctors, nurses, and with people that are just not taking care of themselves. Make sure that the people who really require it are getting the care, and then you're doing your part. So vitamin A is also another amazing vitamin that's not discussed, and yet vitamin A is essential for absolutely everything in the body: the lining of your skin, the lining of your lungs. That all cells in the body need vitamin A to work. So when you're making new healthy lung tissue, new skin tissue, new digestive tissue, vitamin A is a big, big part of it. That's why it says maintenance of epithelial tissues. That means the lining of the skin. Those are epithelial cells are lining the skin, the lungs, and digestive tract, and so forth. Vitamin A is very important for immune function. So role of vitamin A in immune function. Here it is, Journal of Clinical Medicine. Vitamin A deficiency and the lung. proven that when you are deficient in vitamin A, your lungs cannot function properly. So anytime you have a virus that has a huge amount of respiratory effect, you would want to make your lungs a lot more bulletproof. Vitamin A and immunity to viral, bacterial, and protozoan infections. So checking those things out, making sure that your lymphocytes, monocytes, all of your immune cells, they need essential nutrients in order to function. So remember, those are the things at the real tiny microscopic level you're improving just by eating healthier, by taking care of yourself. Vitamin A is one of these big ones. Vitamin D, we hear about this all the time. Sunlight is the best source. Your body converts UVB rays in the skin into vitamin D. There's a whole process, has to go through the liver, has to go through the kidneys. Your body is using cholesterol in the skin as the basic building block to create vitamin D, which is technically more of a hormone. And sunlight is the best way to do it. Getting it from some foods obviously is more difficult, but it's there. And your body can also use it in a supplement form if you need to. You can take, these are little drops, you can get them in tablet or drop form. And for people that just need extra, and it'd be great to actually check your blood to see where your vitamin D level is, and then you can gauge it. And vitamin D is super important for the body and has all these immune modulatory effects. It's needed for so many things: bones, reduction of inflammation, immune function. You can see maitake mushroom. I'm going to talk about mushroom extracts in a second, but you can see egg yolk. All of these vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin D, there are fat soluble vitamins. You need to have some fats in the diet, and they come in foods that have fats in order for you to be healthy. So cod liver oil is a time tested and true amazing source. And there are many great companies out there that you can do it. If you just want to take a teaspoon to a tablespoon a day, that type of dose is super safe to use. Even without testing your levels of vitamin D, a smaller dose is safe. If you're going to ramp up and start using high doses of that, you want to have it under the guidance of a healthcare practitioner and have your numbers checked beforehand. So you can see here 25 hydroxy vitamin D levels, upper respiratory tract infection. This is a study. Epidemic influenza and vitamin D, right? Looking to see people with lower vitamin D status, and the incidence of influenza or any type of virus goes up. Vitamin D, antimicrobial peptide pathway, and its role in the protection against infection. I mean, you're looking at why vitamin D works. It basically has an inhibitory effect on allowing the virus to adhere to the cells. That's one of the main reasons that vitamin D works so well. And D is used for thousands of different pathways in the body. Every cell has vitamin D receptors. It's why Mother Nature gives us the D from getting sunlight. It's why important anytime you can get out in this time of year, fresh air and sunlight. Get some sunlight on your skin without sunblock, because sunblock blocks synthesis of vitamin D. You need to have it on your skin. Doesn't mean you're going to bake for 2 hours, 35-degree sunlight in the middle of noon. That's too much. That's a problem. But don't be so fearful of the sun that you're putting sunblock on in the morning right through the day because you fear the thing that gives life to your body. You only need 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on your skin tone, of course, to get good quality vitamin D synthesis on the body. Here again, recent vitamin D supplementation to prevent acute respiratory tract infections. It's a review. It's proven. They came down to the conclusion that roughly 2,000 international units is the sweet spot for most people, and way too much causes a problem, but not having enough also causes a problem. Nature is like that. There's a time and a place to have higher dose of something in a clinical context, and then you wind down. Then there's also, it makes sense that if you're always deficient, your body is going to get weaker. So that's how you have to find yourself on your timeline of where are you at, and you can essentially get the right dose at the right time. And sometimes you increase it and sometimes you decrease it. It makes sense. Just know your body. Talk to a practitioner, someone who can help you out with this information. Zinc. This is the one that everyone's talking about, because as soon as people talked about COVID-19, people made wild claims and said zinc lozenges will cure COVID-19. It does not cure COVID-19. Zinc is part of an essential part of your immune system that can help you overcome any virus. So therefore, people who made wild claims, then you'd see a lot of the people on the front lines go ballistic, basically, because someone's claiming that a natural element is curing a pandemic. Of course, the doctors are going to get freaky about that. It's not true. Conversely, to completely overlook or disregard the function of zinc in the body is also not a good thing to promote, because zinc is needed for every fundamental process, especially around immunity. I'm going to show you in a second, and it's easy to get. Oysters, beef, bison, lamb, pumpkin seeds, lobster, sunflower seeds. Like, there's a mix of vegetable and animal sources here, and just being mindful and getting your zinc in your body each day, your body then can use it as part of the immune function, right? The role of zinc in anti-viral immunity. So what zinc does is inside the cell, actually, I'm going to go to the next slide, superimpose. So basically, a virus has to enter the cell through receptor sites on the body, because a virus is not alive. A virus has to utilize the host cell in order to take over its DNA to replicate, and then it grows within the cell, takes over, the cell explodes essentially, and then the virus is there to replicate, and then to keep doing this, infecting your own cells. So you have to be able to do a couple things, because the viruses are all around. You are doing all your habits to limit your contact exposure. That's why washing your hands is important. Yet your body, it's going to have viruses all the time, and we always have viruses all the time, and your immune system keeps them down, keeps it in check. And so the virus has to get into the cell, and once it's into the cell, it has to replicate. So then if you can block the replication, that goes a long way to getting your own immune cells to catch up, so they can do the house cleaning and get rid of these coronaviruses, influenza, and such. So zinc is actually needed inside the cell, and it can block these RNA replication so that the virus can't take over your cell. Now, the issue is, how do you get zinc into the cell and do it very well? And a lot of people are wondering then what that hydroxychloroquine, which is a medication, and the medication has to be administered by a physician who knows what they're doing. Someone can't just pop hydroxychloroquine and think I'm solving my coronavirus infection, because there are huge side effects. It's an immune, it's used by rheumatologists, especially for people for autoimmune conditions. So it's something that's very potent, and it has to be used at a short period of time under the right guidance. There's just so many things. You can't just do this yourself. However, you can get zinc. The healthier you are, your body will take zinc into the cells, and zinc helps to block this RNA replication so that the virus can't take over your cell. So what's really kind of interesting is that they talk about, here it is again, talking about zinc inhibiting this RNA polymerase activity. That's the enzyme in the cell that allows the virus to take over. Zinc, an ionophore is what like hydroxychloroquine is, or anything that is getting zinc into the body. What's really interesting here, this study shows that quercetin and epigalactocatechin gallate, which comes from green tea, both of these nutrients, which are abundant in green tea and quercetin in a lot of different other foods like onions, broccoli, raspberries, are very high in quercetin. So you can have food elements helping to get the zinc into your body. I mean, your body, this is the way it works anyway. The only time you need these certain medications is under more extreme situations. So it's kind of sobering if you just eat a whole bunch more onions, broccoli, raspberries, you're getting quercetin, you have zinc in the diet, you're helping your body get more zinc in, and then you make yourself more bulletproof to viral infection. Does that mean these three things are the cure for COVID-19? Absolutely not. nothing in this video is the cure for COVID-19. However, if you look at the way the body works, you can get key elements and realize you can empower yourself to look at the science and help your body make itself more bulletproof to any type of viral infection or viral overload. So this is where people are wondering about zinc. So yeah, zinc lozenges can be a good way to get it into yourself. All the foods I just talked about. Some people will take, they need some extra zinc. They'll use a supplement form short term. There's liquid and there's capsule form. Getting everything from food is obviously the best method because your body knows how to recognize it. Somebody who's more zinc depleted will absorb more from the zinc supplement to get themselves to a baseline, and then they won't need it as much, if at all. That's really how you want to use things in a supplement form anyway. So the other mineral that's talked about is selenium. And selenium is needed for a huge number of immune modulatory functions. It's an antioxidant, reproduction. I mean, there's other things, thyroid health, metabolism, but really the DNA synthesis is something that's really where we're discussing the selenium. Look at the foods it contains: Brazil nut, pork, lamb, egg, oyster, cod, turkey. There's sunflower seeds, chicken, veal. These foods contain selenium. Now, everything depends on, selenium is one of those ones where some soils are a bit depleted, so it depends on where it is grown. I think that's the same for most nutrients. In modern commerce, we can get foods from many places, so there's a good chance you're getting some. If you need more, well, again, you can use a supplement form, tiny couple drops here. You can get combination products here, something like this, which is great. It has vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, selenium, and zinc. So, one a day of these helps to keep your stockpile going while you're working on your foods. So when we're looking at micronutrients, selenium deficiency influences the evolution of some viral infectious diseases. There's one study, selenium, selenoproteins, and immunity. Again, I went through for a few hours and grabbed a lot of these, and they make a lot of sense. So it's showing you the research is out there of how important some of these key elements are. And look at the foods, review the slide, go back and forth with this video, take a look at what you're consuming, and if you need a bit extra, well, maybe go buy some Brazil nuts. There's a lot in Brazil nut. Eat 2 or 3 Brazil nuts a day. Look at different types of meats, maybe some seafood. There are certain things that you may be deficient in. Use the foods first and get your body to absorb all of this high quality nutrition. This is what's making you more robust, making your health work. One of the ones you might have heard of is N-Acetyl-Cysteine and glutathione. These are something that your body manufactures from key nutrients. However, some companies have isolated and studied N-Acetyl-Cysteine and found it's really great to support the liver. In the medical world, it can be used for acetaminophen overdose. Anything that supports the liver can help with detoxification. One of the things that's found really helping with people with respiratory conditions. So if you're already someone with respiratory conditions and you're worried about getting more viral load, taking some extra N-Acetyl-Cysteine will help you and keep the lungs working more efficiently. It also demulsifies, gets rid of mucus, and you can see that it also is the precursor to glutathione, and glutathione is the major antioxidant of the cell. So people that are under more duress from an infection and load, they need more antioxidant help. The body, otherwise, you need the fire burning, but you can't have the fire burning out of control. And this is when you hear this term cytokine storm, or when someone goes into huge respiratory issues and the doctors have to treat them. A lot of it is the immune system is overreacting and the fire is burning out of control. So many of these nutrients are able to help the body keep its reserves up and then keep that under control. And that's how a lot of this stuff works in certain situations. So keeping your system nice and strong will be a way to keep that cytokine storm or keep that fire from burning or raging out of control. And then that's when really you're going to be in an emergency situation where you have to go to and doctors are going to have to deal with you in a different manner. So you can see this N-Acetyl-Cysteine inhibits virus replication, expression of pro-inflammatory molecules, of cells infected with the highly pathogenic H5N1 influenza virus. So they're doing studies on what's going on here, and can some of these key nutrients be used in order to make your body stronger and overcome any type of infectious state more rapidly is really the goal. So we're looking at medicinal mushrooms, and this is something that I've used for many, many years with clients. There are different kinds, and they have been hugely studied, and you can eat them. Shiitake mushrooms are one you can find. So companies will also put powders together, concentrate them, and so you can take them in capsule form, powder form, mix them in your food, liquid form. There's all different versions. All I want you to get out of this is that they're very immune modulating. They help to stabilize the immune function, bring it up when it needs to come up, calm anything if it's starting to overcorrect. So in the modulating form, it's, to me, a very safe way to use food grade nutrients for specifics, and studied worldwide for even things like anti-ulcer, anti-tumorigenic, anti-inflammatory effects. They also contain a good amount of vitamins and minerals because these really are foods. So you can see potassium, calcium, zinc, selenium also found in the mushrooms. And so there are and they've been used for thousands of years, especially in Asia. And there are some obviously in North America. Things like shaga mushroom is one of the ones that is very common in our climate. And so you can see here the pharmacological potential of mushrooms. So this is just this is a whole synopsis study, and I just wanted to show you that there are researchers out there reviewing these things and looking at possible modes of action, antiviral action. This one for reishi, Ganoderma lucidum, is on herpes simplex virus, just to show you that it's the polysaccharides. These are carbohydrate molecules that really help to blunt the spikes of viral activity from what the research is showing. I'm sure there are many more things that need to be discovered. We do not know everything about Mother Nature. This just shows that there are some positive effects that are being studied worldwide on on the mushroom extracts. And this is just a little quick snapshot of all these studies. This actually went up to, from footnotes, this I snapshot this for the antiviral action. Yeah, there's antibacterial action, anti-tumor action, and this specific PubMed article had 100 different footnote references. I mean, it was insane how many there are. And you can see, again, for people that are uncertain, many different companies out there. And I mean, going to the grocery store and buy some of these mushrooms and use them in your cuisine. So here's another product that I use. It's got a blend of 7 or 8 of the mushroom extracts: turkey tail, lion's mane, maitake, reishi, shaga, shiitake. Works great. I take a scoop of this personally every day in order just to keep my immune system balanced. And it's a great multivitamin and mineral. There's a lot of good nutrients in there, and it's food based, so your body can absorb it more readily. So we're giving you a lot of information at the moment. I just wanted to run through those, and I thank you for sticking with it to this point. And I just wanted to highlight a few things that have been studied and which I reinforce with clients on a daily basis. So good habits, keeping your blood sugar stable, is one of those things that has been proven to keep your body's immune system from being overloaded. And so when we're looking at blood sugar stabilization, this glycolytic control, a mechanism to regulate influenza viral infection, basically keeping your blood sugar in a good range and not being diabetic or too high on the blood sugar scale, keeps your body protected against any sort of influenza viral overload. Impaired leukocyte functions in diabetic patients. So blood sugar out of control immune suppression. So back to the comorbidity, many people that have succumbed, unfortunately, are older and have other conditions, and blood sugar disturbances being one of them. And diabetic patients, the immune system is heavily suppressed, so you're more apt to be infected. So blood sugar stability is a big thing. Quality diet, good protein, good fats, moderate high quality carbohydrates, not just eating huge bowls of pasta without any protein or fat, without any vegetables, without any fiber. Habits of junk food, too much sugar in the body always has been known to suppress the immune system. So if you're sequestered and at home and you're eating nothing but junk food and lots of sugar, then you're weakening your immunity. So your body then is more apt to be infected by any virus. So the short-term effect of hyperglycemia on the innate immune system, that just is a fancy way of saying high blood sugar, hyperglycemia, weakening your innate immune function. Overweight and obese people have a defective cellular immune response to pandemic H1N1 influenza virus. So what it's saying, again, overweight and obesity, which tends to go with higher blood sugar and blood sugar out of control, means you're weakening many metabolic functions and your body is more apt to have less immune function to protect yourself. This takes me to wrapping up something about stress and anxiety, depression, and also the suppression of immune function. So when you're stressed and anxious and you're eating poor quality food, which makes us feel good short term, is something that is part of the weakening of the immune system. And I'm a big believer in self-direction, in self-motivation, in encouraging people to take responsibility for their health. And so part of being in a fear in a pandemic state is stress and anxiety is documented to weaken your immune system. So I just say turn the news off as much as possible. If you need to watch it to kind of get an idea of what's going on, fine. Don't get suckered into the hysteria and the fear and watch it 24/7. It will weaken your immune system because you're technically running from the bear. Our body goes into a hyperdrive situation where it's panicked, and we're encoded to when we have stress hormones and we see fear, then your immune system weakens. And so if you were running from a bear, like our ancestors maybe had more of an opportunity to do, just to illuminate how your body works, your sympathetic nervous system goes into high gear. That's your fight or flight response. And when you have fight or flight response, you want to shut down things that are not important at the time. So if you were running from a bear, there are a few things you don't need. And one of the big ones is immune function. Your body then shuts your immune system down and takes the energy and reserves to shunt blood to your extremities to run, flee, or fight. And then your body is supposed to get over that situation, and then it would restore um, all of the other functions. Digestion would be another one that's not needed immediately. So then your body goes through this pattern and it restores the digestive function, the immune function, because you're resting now. Oh, phew, I got away from the bear. So if you're constantly jogging from a bear, it doesn't mean it's immediately right there, but it's pretty close. And your brain is perceiving this constant fear of the pandemic. Like that, your body is going to keep you in immune suppressive state. It's basic physiology. So then you start to get more anxious, more depressed. You oftentimes then start to eat poor quality foods, and that compounds it. So you can see this whole cycle start to evolve. And so one of the biggest things I think you can do is to, unfortunately, you don't really think of it, is laugh. Like watch your favorite comedies, get out in sunlight, talk to your friends, do things that are promoting um, a good mood that can invigorate you, good habits. And then actually what happens is you're running from the bear, stress drops considerably, and your immune system comes up because you're in a more feel good situation. It's something that's unfortunately overlooked, and it's so necessary. So really modulating or balancing out how much you have for fear. And fear, concern is one thing. We all have concern, and it's an uncertain time, yet certainty in your immune system being able to come up and feel much better, and putting more tools in your toolbox to enhance the gifts that you have to make your body much more fluid, stronger, enlighten yourself, will have such a positive impact. And it reduces that inflammation, that immune suppressing action of and fatigue, and everything that we tend to get when we're in this kind of constant state of stress and fear. So here's another: inflammation and anxiety. You know, these are things that are well documented. And I just wanted to end with something talking about antibodies. The next phase will be antibody testing for people. And so it's not just testing whether you have it. I mean, in the initial phase, we want to test as many people as possible to see who's got it. And that's one thing. Really, the most important going forward will be antibodies to the COVID-19, and many people are are recording with the antibody tests as more and more come online. That number one, there are people that have had COVID-19 or COV-2. They didn't get the disease, which is COVID-19. They've had the coronavirus, the recent one. They were asymptomatic. They're over it, and they have antibodies to it. And so just like many people have a stronger immune system to things like the influenza, it's this going to be the same for COV-2. And you will want to get tested eventually, and you'll find that some people will have it, get mild symptoms, and they're over it. You're seeing it now in the news. There are numerous cases worldwide of recovery. The recovery rate's going through the roof. It's something they didn't predict a few months ago. So now you can start feeling good that, okay, the more you incorporate the strategies I just talked about in this video: nutrition, lifestyle, mindset, and so forth, bringing your immune system up. Even if you're going to get it, your body will develop antibodies, and you'll be able to protect yourself in the future. And if you are to get it in the future, it'll be mild. It's not going to be a death sentence. So something that will hopefully relieve some of that tension. And you'll notice that even now they're starting to do some studies where they're checking, antibodies. And this one was actually for MERS, MERS, which was a super virulent strain a few years ago. And they say, okay, people definitely have antibodies to it, and it's protecting them. So it's another one of those, not a pandemic, but it was one of those virulent strains. And so now you're seeing, now they're just starting to talk about the coronavirus 2, specific antibody responses. This is coming out of the CDC in the States. So this is something going forward. Don't be fearful. Be aware. All your good habits are proving to really support your system. And if you need some extra questions answered, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And just know that you're doing a lot of good things currently for your health. And yes, there can be some more being done. Pick and choose what resonates the most with you. And thank you for taking the time to join me in this presentation. And hopefully I conveyed some information to you that'll help you moving forward.